Hi, it's D Smooth here. Black History Month and Juneteenth are very important events to me because I believe in celebrating our culture and the many accomplishments of the black community. Join me as we celebrate freedom through food and fellowship with Safeway, Saturday, June 17th. We're honoring Juneteenth at the Safeway store at 2845 Alabama Avenue Southeast with tastings from minority-owned businesses, live music, face painting for the kids, and more. Head over to @safeway.com/Black History for details.
Local news, national news, even feel-good news, delivering the topics that are relevant to you.
That's why I listen to Joe. He covers it all.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Well, hello. Welcome, everyone, to the Joe Kelley Show here on WDBO. My name is Laurel Lee. I'm here in studio with Josh McCarthy, and we are in for Joe Kelley today. Now, Joe had planned on being out today, but he wasn't supposed to be out yesterday. And he ended up being out yesterday. And if any of you are fans of Joe and you follow him on his Facebook page, you'll know this story. But Joe's been talking about for a while about him being a cyborg soon. He has some nerve pain from cancer, and I laugh because of the cyborg term, obviously. But he was going to get a spinal nerve implant. He knows all the fancy words for it, Josh. I don't. And it was supposed to help him with his pain. And he went in for his pre-op check yesterday. And I guess the doctor said, hold on a sec. Something's funny. Your heart, it sounds a little funny. Your lungs, they sound a little funny. We got to check you out. So it turns out poor Joe is not only having heart palpitations, but he said he had the equivalent of a 2-liter bottle of soda in his lungs. That's how much fluid was in his lungs. He's been walking around here for how long ago did he go to Colorado, Josh? Like 2 months ago?
I think it was the middle of April.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been a minute.
Right.
And he had a cough that was kind of lingering, but he coughs a lot, so we didn't think much about it. He didn't think much about it. And yeah, it turns out he had all this fluid in his lungs. So he is in the hospital right now, but he's okay. He's in good spirits. He's posting regularly on his Facebook page at Talk Radio Joe if you want to follow him there. And he's doing okay. He had to push his surgery back, unfortunately, for the nerve pain. That's going to happen probably in August now. But for now, we are here. I'm Laurel Lee again, and we're here to talk to you tonight. And we're going to talk about some cool stuff in the pipe, including something you might have in your kitchen that's worth $17,000. Yeah, maybe you or your mom. Yeah, I know my mom collects a lot of stuff. I might be digging through her cabinets here to be like, Mom, we might have some treasure going on here. But first of all, we want to talk about Father's Day weekend. Sunday, it is Father's Day. In case you didn't know, you should know that. You should say hi to your dad, give him a call. But okay, I always struggle with my father, right? My dad is incredibly hard to shop for, and I hear a lot of dads are incredibly hard to shop for. Dads buy what they need, right? They don't need the ties. They don't need the socks usually. And if they need something, they'll just go buy it themselves. So when it comes to buying something for my father, I always struggle. I've gotten him flashlights 100,000 times. He doesn't need any more flashlights.
It's very bright in the household.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. At my dad's house, very bright. You'll never be without a flashlight there. So my question to you tonight is, what are you getting for your dad? Or dads, what do you want? You can give us your answers through the open mic feature in our WDBO app. Download that WDBO app to your phone if you haven't yet. You type that open mic button and you can talk to me. I want to hear what you dads want for Father's Day, because goodness knows you don't want shaving cream. Or I pulled up this list of like the top 10 things to get your father, and they are pathetic, frankly. We just saw a stat, Josh, on the news right before we went on air that, for Mother's Day, people put a lot of thought into what to get their moms.
Right.
They're like, oh, she likes jewelry. She could really, use a new pan. And what were these stats? I had them down, and I lost them already. How much did you write those stats down?
I wrote them down, yeah. It said for moms, I'm guessing the average mom received X amount of dollars worth of a gift. And that number was the average mom gets $247 worth of gifts.
Wow.
And dads, 196.
And I bet like a lot of that was like a drill, right?
Yeah, a nice drill at that money, yeah.
Right. So, okay, so Josh, what do you want for Father's Day? You're a dad. You've got kiddos.
So
now they're young.
I'm a bit of a obsessive researcher when it comes to things that I really like. And so if it's power tools or even like a Moto razor or a pillow or something, or headphones in our business, I do a lot of research, so I wouldn't trust someone to buy me something in that field. I would say, hey, if you're thinking about getting this, don't. Instead, get me something else. And so my default answer for a couple of years has just been the biggest roast beef sandwich you can get.
Okay.
I just love it. I don't want any birthday cake. I don't want a Father's Day cake. I don't want a card. Just give me a massive roast beef sandwich with American cheese and some horseradish sauce. And it's pretty easy to get. You go to Publix or go to your local deli, get some good quality roast beef, put it on a nice little bit of white bread, some horsey sauce, and about 1.5 pounds of roast beef, and I am a happy, happy dad.
See, I was similar with my Mother's Day gift. I didn't want anything, and I'm like, I have a favorite pasta that my husband's really good at making.
He makes it?
Yes. And yeah, he makes it from scratch. And I'm like, just make me the pasta. That's all. I don't need another necklace. I don't need shoes. Just make me that pasta and I'll be happy.
Were you happy?
Yeah, of course. Good. I was extraordinarily happy. But that's the way to go, because I was telling you that I pulled up this list of things to get your dad. And like the first one says, for dads who sneeze from May to August, get him this nasal spray. For dads that have
That's
razor
everybody
burn.
here during pollen season, right? It's like this study brought to you by the allergen.com.
Yeah. For the dads that have razor burn, get him this Tend skin liquid. I'm like, poor dads. They don't get anything fun. They get, here's some socks. Of course, the socks are going to come into it. The lobster clippers. And do we want more grill stuff? I don't know. A lot of dads grill, but how many grill scrubbers do you need? Is
the grilling industry that revolutionary where something comes out every couple of years? I've just started taking into the love of grilling, and people make fun of me for being proud of the burgers I made when they're over there roasting duck or some kind of a crudité.
You're better than me because I can't grill anything.
Yeah, but is there a new fork that's out that's better than the fork they made 20 years ago? Or a meat thermometer maybe?
I doubt it. I highly, highly doubt it.
Probably just a bigger grill with more levels, right? This one can do 95 hot dogs at a time versus 94 hot dogs.
Yeah, probably, right? More meats. You have your smoker beside your griller, et cetera, right? So tell us what you're getting your dad or dads what you want for Father's Day coming up this weekend. Tap that open mic button in the WDBO app and let us know what you guys are doing for Father's Day, because I'm interested. I need some ideas, please.
And what is the brand of sock that you have to get?
Yes, that's right.
Socks are this stereotypical sock. And who knows? Maybe you need some more socks. Maybe if everyone knows that socks are the way to go, then we got to know what brand of sock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what they need. Or underpants. I hear you guys need underpants all the time, too. So there's that. All right. So moving on. I love following a handful of these social media accounts. I'm a big social media person. And so whenever a company particularly does social media really, really well, I love it. If you don't follow the Orlando International Airport on Instagram or on Facebook, if you have such social medias, I think you need to, because they are one of the best. They are hilarious. They're really good at reposting their commenters, on replying to comments on their page. And a couple of the police departments, Polk's Police Department, very, very good at it. Tavares Police Department is also very, very good at their social media. So whenever they post something, I'm always real quick to read because they're usually hilarious. So they posted one 2 days ago, excuse me, that says, avoid a ticket Tuesday. Did you know that illegal tint is a very common reason that people get pulled over in Florida? The legal tint percentage in Florida is 28% on the front windows and 15% on the rear windows. And they go on to give more details. They say it could be a $116 ticket if your windows are too dark. And they also say, we don't make the rules. We just enforce them. We know it's hot. We're sweating too. And I always go to the comments because that's where the entertainment always is. And normally people are really pro the police department. They're like, get the bad guy. People are dumb. They should be following the laws, which, of course. But I was shocked and surprised to find the hate towards them in this post. So the first commenter says, just like the fine that you get for playing music too loud. Haven't seen anyone got pulled over for that yet. I'm like, okay. Somebody put a yawning emoji. And they responded with a little hi gif. Hilarious. Somebody wrote, we didn't make the law. Yes, but you have the discretion to look the other way, and you should. Or you can just continue turning citizens against your profession, all in the name of getting a few more bucks in the state's pockets. Your call. I spent 15 years in the profession and walked away because of things like this. So please don't miss me with the you don't know what it's like, and maybe you should sign up for the job then. They really need people remarks. And so they replied with, thank you for your service, I think. Anyways, I read you all these funny comments because I want to know, do you think the tint laws here in Florida are ridiculous? I went to go get my car tinted a handful of years ago before I had the car I had now, and they offered. They're like, we'll go as dark as you want. But just so you know, these are the legal tints.
Yeah, we have to tell you.
Yeah. So I chose the legal tints, but people are mad. They're like, it is incredibly hot here in Florida. That is a stupid law. We shouldn't have to follow it. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And so that's my question to you. You don't have to admit to not having illegal tint on your car if you don't want to. But do you think Florida should have different tint laws because we get 99 here, more often than Pennsylvania does? Is this a dumb law? What do you guys think? Again, open mic feature at the WDBO app, or you can call in 844-580-9326.
I can see the struggle that the law enforcement goes through on this topic because you kind of feel for the drivers out there. It's hot. We know the sun is directly hitting you in the forehead at all times of the day, no matter which way you're facing. But the whole point of the law is so they can look inside your car to make sure nothing nefarious is going on, right?
Right. Yeah, they need to be able to see you.
Make sure you're not, waving a gun around or
for safety. If God forbid a medical something happens to you and it pulls your car off on the side of the road, you're slumped over your steering wheel. They can't see that, right? They don't know that you're in trouble and need help. That's the reason for the tint laws, It's not just to make you sweat and suffer in your car. That's not what the whole point is. But people hate being hot here in Florida. They dislike it. And so every single day I see multiple cars that I'm like, I don't think that's illegal.
Right.
I can't see you at all. I'm not sure that's right.
But that's one of those things where people kind of just look the other way most of the time. And even so, the comments in that social media post are saying, aren't there more important things to be looking at than the tint in my window? But that's one of those things where it's a law for a reason, but also I'm kind of hot and I want to be less hot.
Right, exactly. Somebody wrote, meanwhile, there's actual crimes being committed and time is being wasted on these fines, to which they replied with a gif of, oh, we must have missed that. That's funny. It's funny. I'm sorry. I know everybody's mad, but what a funny way to do it. Somebody else said, got it, understood. Roll down your windows well into varies. I guess that's a way around it. That's probably not the smartest move. Okay, so one of the big stories here in the news today, and everybody is having a field day with it, is the news out of Harvard Medical. And I'm going to scroll and find my story right now. So federal prosecutors have cracked down on a body parts trafficking ring that has expanded into 3 states. A former morgue manager at Harvard Medical School is facing federal charges for allegedly stealing, selling, and shipping human body parts. First of all, what? When you die, you can choose to have your body given to science. So these are bodies that were given to science. They were shipped off to Harvard Medical School and were supposed to be for these students to practice on.
Like cadavers or something, right?
Before they got to living patients. Well, it turns out the 55-year-old Cedric Lodge, who worked at the medical school's morgue in Boston, stole dissected portions of donated cadavers, including heads, brains, skin, bones, and other human remains without knowledge or permission of the school, and removed those remains from the morgue in Massachusetts and brought them back to his house, from which his wife would then get on the internet and sell the body parts.
On the internet?
On the internet, somehow.
Oh, my
I don't know what website you go to.
Itsalive.com. It's alive.
Yeah. So they've arrested both Cedric Lodge and his wife, along with other people involved. This spanned 3 states. One of the women arrested is named Katrina McLean, and she's the owner of Cat's Creepy Creations. She was one of the women that were invited into the morgue so that she could choose which body parts she wanted to sell.
Wow, like a showroom.
Yeah, like a showroom. And if that's not creepy enough, it somehow gets a little creepier from here. We're going to have that coming up. You are listening to the WDBO Joe Kelley Show here on WDBO. We're headed to traffic now with Triple Team Traffic.
Are you struggling to lose weight and keep it off? Tired of wasting time and money on starvation diets that lead to more frustration and stress? If there was a weight loss solution that could actually work for you, would you try it? Then head to Golo.com.
I'm Steve. I lost 138 pounds in 9 months on Golo.
I'm Amber. I've lost 128 pounds with Golo Taking Release.
If you're ready to take back control of your life, head to Golo.com now and see how Golo can work for you. That's GOLO.com.
My sleep is way better. My inflammation has gone way down. Golo saved my life. I was way overweight. That's what sent me down the path. I wanted to make sure and live for my kid.
I have literally tried everything. I was on the verge of getting gastric bypass surgery, and I saw the Golo commercial, and it was the last thing I tried because it worked.
Join over 2 million people who have found a better way to lose weight with Golo. Your healthier and happier life begins at Golo.com. That's GOLO.com. Again, GOLO.com.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk.
Welcome back to the Joe Kelley Show here on WDBO. My name's Laurel Lee. I'm joined with Josh McCarthy here in the studio. We're filling in for Joe while he is out dealing with some medical issues. Happy Thursday. I hope you guys are looking forward to your weekend. One more day until we have the weekend in sight. We're talking about a few things today. We're talking about Father's Day weekend, which is Father's Day is coming up on Sunday. So if you don't have a gift for your dad yet, or you're a dad that has ideas about what gifts he might want, we're taking those answers in the WDBO app under the payroll payout, I almost said, under the open mic button there in the WDBO app. We're talking about a Harvard morgue, the guy that was in charge there. He's been arrested for selling bodies. We're also talking about car tint. The Tavares Police Department made a post about your car's tint, telling everybody what the legal tint limits on car windows are. And people weren't happy about it. People were a little upset about what they had to say. We got some open mics here.
Okay, so I'm all for following laws, but I personally have chosen to ignore the tint law. That being said, I will give you a different side of this to look at as far as why it's illegal. I can tell you at night, it is very, very difficult to see out the windows anything at all if you're in a dark parking lot or a dark street where there's no lighting. So it's very difficult to see a person, for example.
Oh, there you go. And just on this road alone in front of the radio station, Josh, I don't know if you've had this happen to you, but people like to cross this road where you're not supposed to cross this road, John Young Parkway, a lot. Like, particularly when I used to come in for the morning show.
Oh, yeah.
People would come in or cross those roads in dark clothing. And it wasn't until I was real close to them that I'm like, oh my goodness, you are in the middle of the street, not where there's a crosswalk. And I don't have that dark of tint on my truck, so I can't imagine if you have darker tint. I mean, that could be a problem.
Yeah, and I think the front window rarely ever gets tint, right? There's a, like, you know how there's a window you look out of when you're driving straight?
Yeah, the windshield, yeah.
The windshield, thank you. I couldn't think of the word. That front window thing in the front of that. So that, I don't think can even have tint to begin with, right?
I don't think so. I think you can have it like on the very, very like sun visor toppy part, but
right.
Yeah, not on the outside.
So even with that windshield that's barren, it's hard to see people crossing the street at 3 whatever in the morning or midnight. So I can't imagine if it was tinted and you're driving around a dimly lit parking lot and someone's walking around with a shopping cart. Maybe you're not going to hit somebody and cause harm, or maybe there's a shopping cart you don't see and you bang up your car. There's all kinds of reasons you would want to be able to see better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Debris on the road, if it's to your left or your right and you can't see it there. I mean, yeah, I can see. And I know it's hot. I know we like our tint, but holy moly. Yeah, he's got a good point. Here's another.
Hi, this is Christy from Castleberry. I personally could care less. I do have tints on my vehicle. It absolutely does help with the heat. However, I think police agencies need to look further past the tint laws and really focus their law enforcement on catching the people that are openly smoking marijuana in their vehicles.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I can see that. I haven't seen that particularly. I know there's a lot of the loud music bumping around here when I leave from work, and I've seen that quite a few times. But, I can see people disagreeing with you as well. They're going to think my car, my rules. I don't want the cops seeing me smoke my weed in my car.
Right.
And that's why I have the dark tint, I know it's all illegal, though. I get it.
Want people to look in.
Yeah.
About that tint law, Miss Laura Lee. Funny how you can't see in a cop car because their tint is so dark. But somehow, they're just allowed to have it and we're not.
It's funny you say that because when I see super dark tint on a car, that is my first thought is that a cop? I can't see in there. I can't see their lights. That might be a cop. I can't tell because they're so dark, you know?
It's an unmarked car or maybe a commandeered vehicle that used to belong to a criminal and now got auctioned off to someone, and it's an undercover cop at that point. It's hard to tell those moments.
Somebody did comment on that Tavares Police Department post. Yeah, but y'all can have tinted everything and a gas card to keep your car running and cool. The rest of us average Joes don't get that privilege. To which Tavares Police Department responded, well, if you want that privilege, go through the academy. Leave your family for a minimum of 12 hours a day. I'm sorry, this was not the Tavares Police Department. This was another commenter. Let me clarify that. The other commenter wrote, go through the academy, leave your family for a minimum of 12 hours a day to risk your life by choice, and you too can cash in on that outstanding privilege. So there you go. Is the tint laws here in Florida, are they ridiculous? Should they be upped for a state like Florida that has hotter weather than the rest of the country? Or are they there for a reason? Are they there for safety? Where do you lie on the car tint dispute? We're taking questions or answers here within the WDBO app and the open mic button there in the WDBO app. It's 5:30 here on the Joe Kelley Show.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Insightful.
You tell the truth from your point of view.
Entertaining.
Man, that guy is a lot taller than he sounds on the radio.
And engaging.
When we hear you on the radio, it's a good thing.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Hey, Laurel, I need potting soil, peat moss, vermiculite, and what do they call it? Castings, worm castings for the garden.
I'm going to replay that one for the Garden Rebel show on Saturday, I think.
Are you taking orders for all dads around the country now? Just, hey, Laurel, you talk to my family, tell them I want some worm castings.
I got it. Those are, and my dad is a gardener, so I should write that stuff down, figure out what it is, because I don't know, or ask Vince the Garden Rebel, and he'll tell me what all that is.
What a great resource.
Yeah, absolutely. But that sounds good. That is the other thing. He's a gardener, my dad, and so I got him like a I don't know how to explain it. It's like a shovel that you can scoop out stuff with one hand. It's got like a little lever pulley, and I thought he'd love that. And then I got him these things that you can put on the ends of your fingers that have like little blades, and they're meant to snap off, like Wolverine, but littler, and they're meant to snap off vegetables easier. And
I've seen that. You like pinch them, right?
Yes, and I thought that was great.
Between your thumb and the inside of your pointer finger, you just pinch things off.
Exactly, because he grows everything under the sun. Tomatoes, corn, green beans, everything under the sun. And I thought that'd be great. And I don't think I think he gave me that dad face, like, oh, that's nice. Thank you.
Is that the as seen on TV version of the garden vegetation world?
Yes.
You're never going to, because I guess twisting off the vegetable is just fine. But who knows? Maybe it'll taste better if you don't rip the root out, right?
Right, or you don't damage the plant so it can come back. I don't know. I'm not a gardener, but I was thinking that was a cool gift. I don't think it's ever been used. Hence why I was asking for suggestions for Father's Day gifts, because dads, darn it, are you hard to shop for. I hope all dads are like this wonderful gentleman and just hands a list to their significant others or their children and is like, here, this is the stuff I need. Go to Lowe's. Hand it to a Lowe's employee, and they will just point you to the stuff I want or need. Our boss, Keith, when I was discussing this with him, said, just get me gift cards because, like you, he does research into the stuff he wants, Josh. And I'm going to go, his significant other, whatever, is going to go, and he's going to get it wrong anyway. He's like, just give me the gift cards. I will handle it. I don't want you going and trying and getting it wrong.
Right.
But I don't know. Our gift cards, they seem so not impressive or something as a gift. I don't know.
Yeah, they're not very personable, right? It's very generic. It's kind of a here, you go figure it out. But like Keith, when I am doing my research on something, normally if I'm doing a lot of research on it, it's probably very expensive. Too expensive, so I would want, it might be more than the $196 that people spend on their dads every Father's Day. So I wouldn't want someone to drop that on me. So maybe a gift card can kind of just chip away at something I've been researching. Like, I'm big into the home gym world, as you know. I never shut up about it. But I kind of know what I want, and I would never ask somebody else to spend that kind of money on me. So if you give me a gift card to my favorite website, that might be something, oh, you know me so well, versus the
tornado warning for the following county, Volusia, Florida. The National Weather Service in Melbourne has issued a tornado warning for East Central Volusia County in East Central Florida until 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 5:40 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Edgewater, moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. Hazard, tornado and quarter-size hail. Source, radar indicated rotation. Impact, flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. This tornadic thunderstorm will remain over mainly rural areas of east central Volusia County, including the following locations: Turtle Mound. Take cover now. Move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. If you are outdoors, in a mobile home, or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris.
Through the Postal Service, which, ew, that's terrible, to the point where I told you it gets creepier. Katrina McLean, who was one of the buyers or somebody that worked with Cedric Lodge, who's the man arrested for this, was in the midst of selling skin to a man in Pennsylvania, human skin, who, and this man, by the way, self-describes himself as a human blood artist, whatever that means. He wanted to tan the skin to create it into leather. This is somebody they just arrested. That's weird. Scott, who's, let's see here. So Scott stole parts of the cadavers. Okay, so one of the assistants stole parts of the cadavers she was supposed to have cremated, many of which have been donated to and used for research and educational purposes by an area medical school, as well as the corpses of 2 stillborn babies who were supposed to be cremated and returned as cremains to their families. So Cedric Lodge, 55, and his wife have been arrested. They were in their court for the first time today for stealing body parts and selling them from Harvard's medical school morgue. That is a wild story. That is all over the internet. So I guess, go ahead.
And that's pretty unsettling because it's not a small decision to become an organ donor, let alone donating your entire body to science and research. Absolutely. So you want to make sure that, you lived your life, you're happy of the vehicle you lived your life in, you want to maybe pass it on to the next person so they can be the next doctor or the next surgeon. And to find out that maybe the person you trusted with a loved one's body is being nefarious with it. That's very unsettling.
Absolutely. Down to the stillborn babies. I mean, that is absolutely heartbreaking. I had a friend of mine on Facebook who unfortunately just lost her mother, and she just got the urns back, and she posted something like, when I go, I want my body given away to science. I don't want a burial plot where that somebody has to take care of. I don't want an urn that somebody's got to keep on their mantle forever and ever. I want to be donated to science. And a friend who is in the medical field posted, just be aware because sometimes things can happen to those bodies that your family might not be a fan of, or it's not going to be the way you think. Of course, we give major props to anybody who does do that because that it is necessary. It's obviously a huge resource for those going into the medical field. It's just a heartbreaking story out of Harvard Medical School. Yeah,
it's like donating to a charity you think is doing good, and they're just, funding offshore vacations or something using your charitable donations. I wonder if you can put it in writing exactly where you want your body to go upon you passing. Right? I want it to go exactly to Harvard, maybe not Harvard, but some famous school, right, and use exactly for this purpose only for surgeon. But then you got to trust the people who are going to be taking care of it. Right. You'd think you could trust Harvard Medical. And unfortunately, they had, a bad actor working for them. So that's tricky. But that story is shaking up the news waves this morning. We do have the severe thunderstorm warning in Volusia County right now. That's going until 6 o'clock. So those of our listeners out in Volusia County, just be aware of that. Lightning strikes have been detected. That severe thunderstorm warning. And now a tornado warning for Volusia County until 6 p.m. as well. So stay safe out there.
Remember to have your headlights on while you're in the rain. Do not have your high beams on. That is going to make it worse. We're going to keep you updated here with the weather here on WDBO. Our other topic we're talking about tonight is car tint. The Tavares Police Department recently did a social media post where they were reminding people what the legal tint for a car is, and it got quite the backlash. A lot of people upset about it, upset that the cops would even consider reinforcing this. We were asking for your opinions on the WDBO open mic.
Laura Lee, keep it up, girl. You're doing such a great job.
Thank you.
I got pulled over one time because my AT wasn't working, and my windows were actually down. And the cop pulled me over anyway, and he said, "Can you roll your window up?" And he looked at my tint and gave me a ticket. I would say this on a stack of Bibles. It was really weird.
That is weird. Wow, I've never had an interaction quite like that, huh? He almost tricked you into pulling your window tint up. How very weird.
Yes, it is a stupid law. I do think they should modify it for Florida, but I also do respect the safety for the police officers. And I think they should have a windows down law in the state of Florida. If you have a tint, that you better have every window down in the car when a police officer approaches your vehicle.
Every window down. That's interesting. I usually have my driver's side window down, obviously, but I didn't think about doing every window. But that's a smart idea. If the police officers need to see in the back of your vehicle, particularly if your windows are dark, make sure that nobody's back there. Let's see if I played this one.
Hey, Laura Lee. I totally agree with their tint laws down here. It's for their safety. I mean, those poor officers don't know if you've got a shotgun or a pistol sitting on the other side of that windshield, on the other side of that window. It's for their safety, and they're trying to protect all of us, so people just need to back off.
Yeah, absolutely. I can absolutely see that. Again, if you all didn't know, the legal tint percentage in Florida is 28% on the front two windows and 15% on the rear windows. And that's funny, Josh, when I read that, I was like, 15 on the rear. Why is it less on the rear? But I thinking children sit back there, but maybe that is why. Now that people are bringing that up, it's for the officer's safety to make sure that nobody or nothing's in the back seat and they can see it better.
Yeah, so they can look in and maybe you're not have anything you shouldn't have back there or anything, maybe someone tied up back there, held against their will. You want to be able to look up and see, everything that needs to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I'm not going to chance it, somebody writes. I don't need y'all judging me while I dip my Cheetos in my Frosty and dance to Spice Girls. Hey, you do you. That's absolutely fine. Disney World has announced new holiday get-togethers, social gatherings. They have a brand new one called Jollywood Nights. They've just announced this today. That's going to take place at Hollywood Studios November 11th, 18th, 20th, 27th, and 29th, and select dates in December. Guests of select Walt Disney World Resort hotels can buy tickets starting June 29th. Tickets may be purchased by all guests starting July 6th on the Walt Disney World website. Tickets will range from $160 to $180 per person. They're going to have jolly DJs spinning a mix of tunes. They're going to have, enjoy glitz and glamour galore at the Brown Derby. And they're also going to have limited character interactions, as well as certain attractions are going to be open. A festive favorite, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam, will be back. So if you're interested in going to that, you can check that out at WaltDisneyWorld.com. It's 5:50 here at WDBO, The Joe Kelley Show.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, the three big things you need to know.
Three.
Antonio Guterres, the head of the United Nations, slams the fossil fuel industry over the current climate crisis, calling on companies to fully transition towards clean energy.
Two.
Actor and comedian Bill Cosby faces more sexual assault allegations from 9 more women.
One.
President Joe Biden speaks about his efforts to put an end to hidden junk fees for purchases, including flights, event tickets, and more.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Breaking news to lively debates, covering the issues that matter to you.
I make it a point to listen to Joe Kelley when I need to fully understand what's happening in the news.
Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
Welcome back to the Joe Kelley Show. I'm Laurel Lee. You just heard Josh McCarthy. He's in here with me. We are in for Joe. Joe Kelley will be back soon, we hope. He had a little bit of a medical mishap. You can read all about that on Joe's Facebook page, Talk Radio Joe. But he's fine. He's in good spirits, and he'll be back with us soon. We're talking about a range of things from Father's Day gifts to tint on your car. Then there's this.
fact that no one's really mentioning about this tint thing is if you have illegal tint and if you have somebody that's wanted, it is easy to shelter a criminal inside a tinted vehicle versus not having. That being said, I do have illegal tint in my car and I don't care.
Yeah, that's fine. And you know what? You're not alone. That's what I hear. I hear a lot of that. People don't want to be hot in the Florida sun. They take their chances with the cops, and they don't mind if they go ahead and maybe they'll pull me over, maybe they won't.
Yes, it is a stupid law. I do think they should modify it for Florida, but I also do respect the safety for the police officers. And I think they should have a windows down law in the state of Florida. If you have a tint, that you better have every window down in the car when a police officer approaches your vehicle.
That's a great idea, too. Absolutely, that's a great idea. You know, that could be the little modifier they put in. I don't know. Let's somebody roll up Ron DeSantis and see if we can't get that going. So I teased earlier that you might have a $17,000 item hiding in your kitchen. If you haven't heard about this yet, Instant Brands is going out of business. They filed for bankruptcy. I should say they're not going out of business, but they have filed for bankruptcy. Instant Brands makes Instapot. They make Pyrex glasses, and they make the Corelle dinner plates. They've declared bankruptcy, but one particular one of their products, it's called the Corningware, is on eBay for thousands of dollars. You need to go into your kitchen or your mom's kitchen, your dad's kitchen, and look for the Corningware cookware from the 70s with the floral or the wildflower spice of life designs. Those are going on eBay for up to $17,000 right now.
That's what I want for Father's Day. I changed my answer to that. I want that for Father's Day.
Absolutely. We need some Corningware. We need to GoFundMe for Josh for his $17,000 new cookware, which is crazy to me because we were talking about this a little bit before, Josh. During the pandemic, everybody was into cooking. So I said, how could they be announcing bankruptcy when I feel like the whole thing during COVID was like the new bread recipe, right?
Yeah.
What you're making in your house because you can't leave your house. And yet here is one of the biggest names in cookware filing for bankruptcy. Who knows? They claim product delays. They claim the pandemic-related issues, everything under the sun. They're saying they just can't make it work. So we'll see. Go check your cabinets. See if you have some of that $17,000 cookware hiding in one of your cabinets. You're listening to The Joe Kelley Show. More coming up next here on WDBO.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Heads up for a crash causing heavy delays on the Beach Line westbound approaching the 417. A 5-mile backup with a right lane blocked and an overturned truck. Eastbound delays through that area as well. I-4 east and west heavy past the Beach Line. Westbound heavy Osceola Parkway past Champions Gate. Our traffic is brought to you by ProTech Air Conditioning and Plumbing Service for honesty, integrity, and 100% customer satisfaction. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Dory Don.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. Join the conversation now by using the open mic in the WDBO app. Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's news and talk, WDBO.
This is the Joe Kelley Show. My name is Laurel Lee. I'm in here with Josh McCarthy. We are in for Joe Kelley today.
I surely hope Joe Kelley is okay. We're all got our thoughts and prayers out for Joe.
That's very kind. Thank you. Joe. Too many J names. Joe will be okay. He was scheduled to be out on this day anyways because he was going to go in for a medical procedure. But while he was getting checked up for that medical procedure, they found another medical problem. You can read about that on Joe's Facebook page, Talk Radio Joe. He's going to be okay. He's in good spirits. He's posting regularly, so hopefully he'll be back with us soon. But in the meantime, we are talking about all kinds of things like the tint on your car window. Yeah, you're only allowed to have a certain amount of tint. Did you know that? And if it's above 28% in the front windows there on your side and on the passenger side, it is illegal. You can get pulled over and get a $116 ticket, I should say. We're getting a lot of comments in the open mic feature in the WDBO app.
The reason for the light tints in the back basically is for the police can have a head count. So when they're walking up to the back of the car to the front, they can count how many people are in the car. If it's too dark, they can't tell how many people are in the car.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's for officer safety, but a lot of people say the Florida sun is too hot. The tint that comes on these cars is not enough for us to be comfortable. And I don't care if I get pulled over or I'm going to chance it anyways. And I know a lot of people have a darker tint than they're supposed to. Let's play this one here.
I am all for the safety and protection of police officers, 100%. But the thing that people aren't considering is that there are people with medical conditions that cannot be exposed to the sun for health reasons, where doctors actually have to write a note so that they can have a specific dark tint on their windows to protect them from the sun, especially here in Florida. People need to start considering other people. That's all.
Yeah, and I wonder if you can get some kind of doctor's note or something that if you should get pulled over says, hey, look, I medically need to have this type of tint on my car. I can't be out in the sun the way normal people can. I'm not sure. All I know is that the Tavares Police Department made a post saying, hey, just an FYI, if you have too dark of tint on your car, we're going to pull you over and give you a ticket, and people got mad about it. Our producer was saying that Universal has valet parking, and they won't take his wife's car because the tint is too dark, and I guess they're considered it a liability. We had a caller call in and tell us that if you should get into a car accident and they find dark tint on your car, they may not cover that accident or the damages to your car because they consider that tint illegal. And they say that you have an illegal item in your car, and so therefore they won't cover it.
I have a dumb question that I don't know, but maybe someone listening does. Is there a way that if you didn't buy your car from the dealer and its tint is darker than you think may be legal, that you can figure that out? Is there a tool that you use to see it's not 29% of light being prevented through? Or however that percentage works out.
That's a great question.
Because we think about it just being maybe silly. Maybe it's going to be a little bit hotter in your car than if the tint was legal. But if, like the producer said, the insurance will not cover you if it's illegal tint, that's something you want to figure out. So is there a way that you can take your car to some certified dealer or maybe the tint man, and if they can see if it's legal or not and get it certified? Say, listen, insurance company, it's not my fault. I was told it's legal. And then go from there. That's kind of worrisome.
Right. Yeah, I bet you could bring it to a tint person. I don't know the name of that job. I know I brought my car to one once, and they did a wonderful job. But, is there just a tool I could buy off of Amazon that tells me if I don't want to haul it all the way into it?
They do have it in the places where they put tints.
Oh, okay. Okay, there you go.
Also, I wanted to add that there's a application for sunscreen medical exception by the Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles.
How about that? Thank you, Ronald, for that research there. So there you go. There's some answers to our tint questions. Absolutely. But, if you just have darker tint on your car because you think it looks cool or because you don't want to be as hot as the rest of us, well, just a heads up, you could get pulled over for it. The other thing we're talking about today.
Laura Lee, would you mind repeating that about the cookware? Because I just got off of work and I caught the tail end of your story. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we were talking about is an item in your kitchen that might be worth $17,000. Instant Brands, which is the company that makes Instapot and Pyrex glassware and Corelle dinner plates, has filed for bankruptcy. And because of that, all of a sudden, these Corningware pieces, which is made by Instabrands, are popping up on eBay for as high as $17,000. So if you want to go searching through your cabinets or your mom's or grandma's cabinets, what you're looking for is the Corningware from the 70s. They're going to have floral or, quote, wildflowers, spice of life designs. I'm sure you can Google that if you don't know what those look like. So if you got some old cookware hanging around, you might want to reverse image that, see if they're worth something.
So you're telling me this floral cookware I have in the garage for my grandmother in a box collecting mold and dust is worth $17,000? Hallelujah.
Right. Thank you, Grandma. It might be. Take a look. It's worth it. It's worth giving it a Google to see if you can make some money off of that pot that's probably collecting dust in the corner.
And if you want to confirm whether or not you have the correct, vintage piece, go ahead and send me a picture. And if it is the right one, I'll come over and I'll just verify. I'll say it's false. It's not the right one. I'll buy it off you for $20. And you can be a supporter for the WDBO Fund. It's great.
There you go. Josh will pick it up for free for you, just
serving the community.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Just don't follow me on eBay afterwards.
President Biden is making some news today because several companies are vowing to end surprise junk fees following pressure from the Biden administration. President Biden announced today that Ticketmaster, which is the parent company of Live Nation and SeatGeek, agreed to commit to show all fees upfront for ticket purchases starting in September. The move is the latest in the administration's push to nix junk fees, which are costs tacked on at the end of purchases, often for concert tickets, travels, and rentals. I looked up a show yesterday for a rock group that's not, they're big, but they're not huge. They're not Metallica. They're not Pantera. They're not Aerosmith. And I was like, oh, look, they're coming to Orlando. Let me see what tickets are going to be. They're going to be at the Hard Rock, $135 per ticket. Like, I can't pay that for a band that's not, I get paying that for Taylor Swift or what have you, these huge, huge names. But that's crazy to me. And so, feel how you will about President Biden, but I think we can all get behind this push of nixing these outrageous concert ticket prices. Josh, you just went to a concert over the weekend with your wife. Did you pay $135 for your ticket?
We actually just got back from a trip to Nashville. We went up there for our 9th anniversary to see a show, and we got lucky because, like you say, the band is very new. They only have 5 songs at the moment, and we spent, including fees, $40 per ticket.
Nice.
And when I told my wife that I wanted to see them, I was like, it's a fun idea, but we all know that the Ticketmaster fees are going to be through the roof, so it's going to be fun, and then we're going to see it's going to cost us $500 to open the doors, and it's not going to be worth it. So I was thrilled when they were that low of a price. But that metal band you were talking about with the $100 and something, was that box office or was that aftermarket sale? And does that even include the extra fees that some of these resellers add on?
I don't even know because I clicked, I think it was through Ticketmaster. I clicked just to see what the ticket prices were. And when they said $130, I stopped at $135. So it might not have even been the final price. They didn't tack on all the taxes and the processing fee and what have you. So it might have been even more.
That's what I expected when we clicked our Nashville prices. So I was delighted to see that they were so inexpensive. Or you know how maybe somebody back in the day went to go see the bands that we know as Hall of Famers, the Led Zeppelins, the Who's, the Queens, and they were like, I used to just go down to the mall and buy a ticket for $17, and I saw Freddie Mercury up on stage before, or even while they were big, maybe only $20, $30 to see them. And that's just where we are now in today's society, that tickets are so expensive. We expect to be disappointed. We expect to put the tickets in our cart, and then when we check out, go, never mind, I can't afford this.
Yeah, exactly, which is, a real bummer because I love concerts. I love the atmosphere. I love singing along with hundreds of people to the songs but with prices like that, I mean, how long can they sustain that? I guess there are people out there paying them if Taylor Swift sold out all of her concerts at whatever crazy prices she was selling her tickets at. But
yeah, my wife actually went to go see Taylor Swift in Atlanta last month. And her friend happened to be a Capital One member, and they got pre-sale. Because I believe Taylor Swift never made it to general population sale. She sold out completely her tour just via pre-sale. And so being a Capital One member, she got to have the opportunity to wait in line. And she waited in that line for, I think, 7 or 8 hours before she had the chance to buy tickets.
Wow.
And she spent $170, $180 per ticket. And then by the time the show actually happened, she had the chance to sell them for thousands of dollars. But, that's a lifetime memory. She would never would have forgiven herself if she sold.
Of course.
But there are people out there clearly paying this. So what's to stop a scalper or someone from buying an entire row, waiting in line for 8 hours, and then making 100% or 1,000% of your profit in the aftermarket? It's just, it's a business that needs a lot of checks and balances, and they're not getting it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul on our live Facebook feed, which you can check out at WDBO's Facebook, says tickets for sporting events are very expensive also. Yeah, absolutely they are. One of me and my husband's most favorite things to do is go to Tampa Bay Lightning games.
Oh, yeah.
But holy moly, are they expensive. And not only that, but they have like I don't know if they're called annual pass holders. I don't know what they're called. It's like their club. And to get into that, there's a huge waiting list.
You mean like season tickets?
Yeah, season to see. I don't know sports things, Josh. Yeah, whatever, okay? Yeah, there's a list just to get into those. But the tickets are outrageous to even attend any sporting events. So again, how long can they sustain this?
And the Lightning are good, too, so that's going to be even harder.
Right.
They've won the last couple of Stanley Cups, I believe.
Yeah.
Now that the Florida Panthers just made it to the finals, their prices are probably going to go through the roof as well.
Right, exactly. So hockey's coming to Florida, which is awesome for Florida and really, really bad for those of us paying Lightning or Tampa Bay Panther tickets. Next article that caught my eye, EVs could lead to more deaths. Safety experts are concerned about the increasing number of electric vehicles on the roads, saying the heavier vehicles could absolutely lead to more vehicular deaths. It's because those electric vehicles weigh thousands of pounds more than gas-powered cars because of the weight of the batteries. And Josh, it's not you, the driver, that could be impacted by this. It's those you might run into.
Right, yeah. What is it? Mass equals momentum times volume. It's been a long time since I was in, physics, but it's the heavier you are, the harder you hurt when you hit somebody.
Exactly.
And so if you got thousands of pounds worth of batteries in there, that's going to, be basically a moving wrecking ball if somebody gets in front of you. So, yeah, I never even considered that because I hear about the new EVs, electric vehicles, having such impressive acceleration time because they are light, but maybe some of the bigger ones have the heavier batteries that become, just a wrecking bull down the highways.
Yeah, that's when I was mentioning this to somebody earlier. They said, what? They're heavy? I'm like, their batteries are outrageous. So they say, not for the driver or the other, it's not their driver, but other drivers and pedestrians to whom the EVs could pose a greater threat. And the other thing that I brought up is, have you ever driven an EV vehicle?
I have not. I've been a passenger once a long, long time ago.
So we drove our friend's Tesla Y the other day, and it is, you have to rewire your brain to learn to drive a lot of these EV vehicles. So normally when you're in your car, if you want to de-accelerate, you let your foot off the gas, right? And you de-accelerate to come up to your stop sign or your stoplight, and then you hit the brake when you finally want to stop the car. Well, in these EVs, you let go of the gas to stop the car. Like, you only hit your brake if you want to emergency stop the car.
Oh.
So you have to almost rewire your brain to only use the gas pedal to go and stop in these EVs, which led to kids your age, kiddos that aren't even close to driving yet, may come up into this world of where everything is EVs, if they say that's the way this is going to go. Will they not know how to drive cars like we do with the gas and the brake? Will this become the new manual car where they have no idea how to drive it because they've only learned in EV vehicles?
Yeah, they'll be driving, a 1995 F-150 in some emergency situation, and they'll be coming up to a red light, and they'll just take their foot off the accelerator thinking they'll come to a stop, but they'll fly right through it because, you got to push the brake to come to a stop in a car.
Right.
But, they have to change the way they see things.
Yeah, absolutely. And will the tint be too dark on EV vehicles? We'll never know. It's 28% in the front, 15% in the back, in case you didn't know. We're taking open mics on that in the WDBO app and the open mic feature. We're also taking suggestions on what to get your dad for Father's Day this Sunday. Dads are hard to shop for. Join us in the open mic feature in the WDBO app. You're listening to The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Talk and discussion on the latest breaking national news.
Crude oil prices continue to fall.
Local news.
You're not going to have Disney have its own government in Central Florida.
And stories that matter to you. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let your voice be heard on The Joe Kelley Show.
Welcome back. I am Laurel Lee in for Joe Kelley on this wonderful Thursday evening. We are talking about everything from cars to dishes in your kitchen.
The number, the darker the tint. The number represents visible light transmission.
And so she said lower
Guys,
the number.
the
right?
lower the number, the darker.
Lower the number, the darker the tint. Okay, there you go. So if you're confused about what tint to get or what tint is illegal, there's something to remember that by. 28% is legal in the front of your car. 15% is legal in the back of your car. Then we have this one on car tints.
Quick thing about tints is that most people just have the tints that darken your windows and prevent very little bit of sun coming through. They have a thing out now called ceramic tints. Not near as dark, but it protects you from the sun a lot more.
Well, there you go. There's something to keep in mind, too, if you're worried about your car tint. We're talking about car tint because the Tavares Police Department a few days ago made a social media post reminding people what legal tint is legal, that's repetitive, on your car, and people got fired up about it. They are mad that the police even dare tell them that they shouldn't have tint darker than what is legal. People are saying, I need it for the heat, I need it for a medical condition. Cops have darker tint. Why aren't we allowed to have darker tint? So what about you? Do you think that law that states 28% in the front, 15% in the back is dumb? Do you think that we should have a loophole here in Florida because we have hotter sun than a lot of the other states in the country do? We're also talking about kitchenware. the people that make Instapot, they're going out of business. So some of their dishes called Cornell, I lost it. I should have had it right there in front of me. Corningware is going for up to $17,000 on the internet. And I had an open mic about that, too. Let's see right here.
Don't forget the thrift stores. Go to your thrift stores. You can find all kind of Pyrex and Corning and Corel. All sorts of yummy Sunbeam stuff from the 50s, 60s, 70s. Don't forget your thrift store.
There you go. There might be some treasure in those thrift stores. That's where everybody's going to be this weekend now, either looking for those Cornell ware or finding a gift for their dad. I'm not really sure.
What's a Sunbeam?
That is a brand of kitchenware, too, I believe.
Oh. And that's going to be up on eBay probably, too, now?
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I'd be keeping an eye on any of the instant brands now that they're going bankrupt. Maybe Instapots will be the next thing. I think everybody has an Instapot, though.
Yeah, that's got a couple of moving parts, though, so I wonder if that's more susceptible to breaking, whereas these cookware from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, they just last forever. Even like a fridge from the 50s, I've seen some of those just go and go and go and go.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they do not make things the way they used to anymore. Things, refrigerators, dishes, they break in 3 years compared to the... Doesn't all of our parents have like the one garage refrigerator where you keep the extra sodas and stuff? And that's... My parents have had theirs since they were married. So it's like 30-something years old, and it's still kicking.
The same one that was in Grease Lightning, and that like Danny Zuko opened it to get his hair gel out. They just last since the 40s. Something about those old appliances that just go and go and go and go.
Right. Yard sale, too. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm saying now a refrigerator can tell you the weather in Hong Kong or something if you need it. It's got Wi-Fi. It's got Netflix on your refrigerator. I don't know why. But
that's right.
Back in the day, you used to just keep things cold, and they just keep lasting and lasting.
But now it's going to go out in 3 years. So,
exactly. Too many moving parts.
That's right. Thrift storage yard sales, says Stephanie on our WDBO Facebook stream. That's right. Yard sales, you might be able to find some of that Pyrex stuff and see if it's going for some money on eBay. We're also talking about President Biden, how he's teaming up with Ticketmaster to cut those excess fees when you go to try to buy a concert ticket and you see the processing fee and the tax fee, and it makes your $90 ticket actually a $190 ticket.
Ticketmaster and all of their fees, they're just legalized scalping.
Yeah, and I think President Biden agrees with you, which is why he's teaming up to try to get all these junk fees gone, which, I'm for. We don't necessarily agree with everything that President Biden is doing, but to get rid of all those junk fees that all these companies are just making a ton of money off of, absolutely, absolutely. Coming up, we're going to talk about separate bedrooms, whether that's healthy for your marriage and your relationship. We're going to talk about Google Lens, how you can search skin conditions. That might be a little weird. We've got more coming up here on the Joe Kelley Show. Join us in the WDBO app under the open mic button.
Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic. This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Orlando's news and talk. In-depth segments on topics that matter to Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
I love your show every night. You're doing great, bud.
Welcome back to the Joe Kelley Show. I'm Laurel Lee in for Joe Kelley. Joe is in the hospital. He's okay, though. You can read about what is going on his Facebook page at Talk Radio Joe, and hopefully he'll be back with us very soon. We're talking about all kinds of things tonight. It keeps circling back to cars, I'm noticing, though. We're talking about EVs. We're talking about tints on your car. We're talking about the car tint on your window as you're driving down, maybe returning to home from work. Do you know what percentage of tint you have on your vehicle? Do you know if it's legal? You hope it's legal. We're talking about that because the Tavares Police Department posted a Facebook post the other day reminding people that it's 28% in the front and 15% in the back. That's the legal tint limits for your car. And if it's anything over that, you could be pulled over. You could be given a $116 ticket. Well, people were fired up in the comments section. They are mad about this law. They're mad that police officers are enforcing it. And we are getting a lot of reaction from you in the open mic feature in the WDBO app.
Here's one for you. The other reason they have dark tint laws is, say they find out you have a warrant and you have dark windows. That's an excuse to pull you over, and then therefore they can serve the warrant. Worked in a jail for 12 years. Happened every day.
Oh, How about that? People are saying it's also obviously for the safety of the police officers. They need to be able to see who or what is in your vehicle. What do you think about the tint laws? Do you think we should have different tint laws here in Florida because we have a hotter sun than some of the states? You can reach me through the open mic feature in the WDBO app. Another thing that caught my eye the other day is the separate bedrooms trend. Have you heard about this? Separate bedrooms are becoming more common for couples. Certain celebs say it's a secret to a good marriage. Getting a good night's sleep is crucial for physical health and the health of the relationship. So do you think you and your partner should sleep in separate bedrooms? Do you sleep in separate bedrooms? I know Joe Kelley, for a while with his first wife, would sleep in a different bedroom, Josh, because he had to get up at 2 a.m. in the morning when he used to do the morning show here. And it drove her nuts that he had to get out of bed and get up and get showered and get out of it when it was 2 a.m. and she was trying to sleep. So they did that for a while. Yeah, it's tricky in a lot of businesses where there are such drastically different schedules. If one person is in bed by 7 so they can wake up at 2 like us. I did a couple of years on the morning show at the radio as well, and my wife and I were on different schedules. So if she would get in bed at 11 or something after watching a TV show, I would kind of nudge me awake, and, I'd be a little grouchy and she'd be a little grouchy. So I can kind of see that, separate beds, separate rooms is pretty drastic. But I guess if the sleep is one of the most important things, they say now, Tom Brady is all about that. So whatever you got to do, I guess, to stay happy. But so when I get home, my husband and I will have dinner, we'll watch some TV, and then we'll go up into our bedroom and we'll lay on the bed and we'll scroll social media and talk about what we see and show each other silly videos. I mean, that's bonding time there. Do you think you'd be missing bonding time if you're in separate bedrooms, though? Yeah, especially we have a couple of young kids. So those 20, 30 minutes while we're in bed before we actually go to sleep, or where we have the best conversation, where we kind of, talk about each other's day, I can totally see that people might. So in that instance, do they go into the same bed with couples with separate rooms? Do you go into the same bed, have that bonding time where you talk about whatever you had during the day, and then you go to your next door like a roommate? All right, I'll see you in the morning. Good night, bye. Yeah. Yeah, and then walk over to your own bed. Yeah, maybe. A couple of years ago, my wife and I actually started using separate blankets. It started because we were on a queen bed. Now we have a king, game changer. But we would fight over the blanket, it seems like a kind of a meme at this point. And we wanted separate blankets so she could have hers and then I could have mine. And now I just use a sheet. So that's a smaller scale of actually separate bedrooms. But, we never fight over blankets anymore. That's smart. That has been, probably the biggest hurdle in our marriage, is fighting over blankets, apparently. Yeah, that's smart, because every other day I'm like, do you see how much blanket you took last night? Do you see how I'm just on the very edge of you took it all? Though my husband says he wants to get me a whole other house, because apparently I have a lot of things. Wow. Like you're saying, your wife likes to keep sentimental things. He keeps teasing that if we win the lottery, he's going to buy me a whole house. I'll live next to him. It'll be fine. But my stuff has to go in that house. And then that's great. You're doing something right. If that's his first thought, I'm going to buy my wife her own house. Yeah, that's right. That's great. I love her. I want to be near her. I just don't want all of her stuff. She's going to get her own house. Speaking of relationships, is it normal, or should we normalize not having a wedding? I guess is the way to say that. So there's a trend going on right now where people are foregoing the big fancy weddings. My brother and his fiance are getting married in November, and I can see all of the, the prices racking up, right? The flowers and the bridesmaids' dresses and the bachelorette party and the engagement party. And I remember from my own wedding, I got married 3 years ago now, what that ended up costing. So a lot of people are ditching the idea of having these big weddings and these big dinners. They're going to the courthouse, signing the paperwork, maybe having a little dinner with family, and they're using all of that money to go on their honeymoon. And they're like, weddings are an old-fashioned tradition. It's more for the family and friends than it is for us. And I'm sorry, but we just don't want to do that. I wonder if that's a healthy trend, or that's a trend that's leading to, or it's giving up something, I should say, in tradition-wise. Yeah, I think, like you say, traditionally, it would be a big, grand event for the two families to meet each other. Maybe following the wedding, they would move in together for the first time. They'd be separate for all that time leading up to the wedding. And so that was a big, joyous union of the families. And then it would become one family. They'd buy a house. They'd need the toaster that somebody buys them for their wedding registry. But let's be honest, nowadays,
people live together for quite some time before they even consider getting engaged, let alone married. So they already have plates, they already have toasters, they already have, multiple blankets for one bed, as smart couples do. So do they need to have that grand union for the day of? I wouldn't change anything about my wedding. It was great, but it wasn't, over the top.
Mm-hmm.
We had the family come in from all over the country, and we already had all the knickknacks that a couple needs, because we've been living together for so long that we just asked our family to put a couple bucks towards the honeymoon. Don't buy us new silverware. Just put a couple bucks towards the honeymoon. And that was fantastic. So I can totally see that this might be the change for kids today.
Yeah, same with my brother and his fiance. They've lived together now for a few years, and so I was scrolling through their registry to see what they might want or need, and they have some like big gifts, an $800 coffee maker that we might chip in, me and my mom and their sisters and brothers. But otherwise, when you live together, there's nothing else you need. So maybe the move to just doing money towards that honeymoon is the way to go. Or again, do you think we're losing traditions? I'm not sure.
I don't want to get too far off this exact conversation, but do you happen to have that coffee maker in front of you? Because I want to know what entails an $800 coffee maker. What does that thing do differently than the McCafe that mine does at home?
I do have a very expensive coffee maker.
$800? Laurel, tell me your coffee maker is $800 right now.
It's something along those lines.
No way.
Very nice.
What does it do?
It's an espresso maker. It's a Breville espresso maker.
Oh my God.
And it does you have to get the ground in. It pressurizes the coffee and it can make the espresso shots. And it was gifted to us by a very, very generous friend. My husband loves it more than he loves me, okay?
Ronald is furious as well. He's ending this conversation.
We're done.
There should not be an $800 coffee maker.
What do you think? Should we stick with the traditions, or do you think kids are giving up something by not having weddings and sleeping in separate bedrooms? Join us in the Open Mic feature in the WDBO app. This is The Joe Kelley Show.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. News, weather, traffic, all the things you want on your drive home. Plus, Joe Kelley being, Joe Kelley. Now, The Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
Okay, well, the gentleman says, that window in the front of the car, that's you look through when you're going straight forward. And the lady says, yeah, you mean the windshield? And then she says, yeah, about tinting. Sometimes you'll see it on the high part. That upper, the toppy part of the windshield. The toppy.
Listen, okay? Everybody gets tongue-tied. It's just that you guys get to hear us get tongue-tied in public, okay?
It sounded way worse when she said it, I'm sure. I'm sure we sounded very distinguished when we said front glass part and you said tippy-toppy.
You all knew what we were talking about, okay? You got the picture across. That's in response to the car tint laws here in Florida. The Tavares Police Department made a social media post reminding people what the legal tint is. And if you decide to make your tint on your car windows darker than is legal, 28% in the front, 15% in the back, then you could be pulled over and given a over $100 ticket.
Leave the tint windows where they're at. They're there for safety.
Yeah, they're there for safety for the police officers, as many of you have told us. Police officers need to be able to see into your vehicle. They need to be able to make sure they know everybody that is in the vehicle and what you carry.
Only problem I see with that law is, as you guys are wording it, it's implying that everyone is doing something wrong, when in reality, it's a small percentage of people who would be doing something heinous or wrong or bad like you guys have described. So it's not right that all of us should have to follow rules that are made for people who are going to be scumbags anyway.
Yeah, I get that, but that's what rules are for, right? Is to make sure that those who are, doing something bad are... Josh,
I was wondering what the noun you were going to choose.
Where are you going with that? I get it. I know. I get it. It's hot outside. If we're not doing something bad anyways, why do we have to follow those rules? It is, unfortunately, for the few people out there that are going to take that role and use it to do something heinous. And that's awful and that stinks. But, you know, do we let you be a little hot in the car and crank up your AC, or do we, you know, endanger the lives of our police officers? It's a tough situation to be in. But anyways, people got really, really mad at the police, the Ferris Police Department for posting that reminder, and people were fired up about it. Google Lens can now search for skin conditions. The Google app was introduced in 2017 to identify images and gather info about the image. TechCrunch says the app has now been enhanced so it can identify skin conditions by searching for a visual match. The new Google Lens feature may be able to help users decide whether they want to seek medical attention for a skin condition or an over-the-counter treatment. Now, I'm not somebody that overly worries about my privacy on the internet. You know, I change my passwords often. If somebody's tracking me, they're going to see that I like Star Wars and dogs. You know, I'm not sure what they're gathering from me. But this seems to cross a line for me.
Oh, yeah?
Taking a picture of a rash and sending it to a Google Lens for Google to tell me what's wrong with my... I don't know. That's creepy to me.
Is it the doctors that are associated with it, or is there even a real person on the other end that's saying this is
It seems they're going to reverse image search your rash and see if they can come up with an idea.
Interesting.
It's not even a doctor.
Huh.
Not so sure about that. Thank you guys for joining us here on the Joe Kelley Show. I've been Laura Lee. That's been Josh McCarthy. We're in for Joe Kelley. He should be back with us very, very soon. Have a wonderful Friday. Have a safe weekend, and wish all of your fathers a happy Father's Day for us here at WDBO.
It's Ram season, which means it's time to serve with Ram 1500, Ram 3500, and Ram TRX. Hurry in now for great deals on the trucks that are built to serve. Right now during Ram season, get 10% below MSRP on the purchase of a 2023 Ram 1500 Laramie. Not compatible with lease offers or with any other consumer incentive offers. Contact dealer for details. Take retail delivery by 5/31/23.